Hi, it's me. It's been a hot minute. You're probably wondering where we've been. As I'm recording this, it is currently, I want to say 3:30 in the morning on Tuesday, the 3rd of December, 2024. And I haven't made a Movie Force video since May. I haven't put out like a full-length video since May. So we're rectifying that today. That's what you're watching right now. I started working on this video back in February, and then my computer got corrupted, so I saved like half of the video. The other half wasn't even done yet, so what you're about to see is part one of a two-part video. I don't know when part two is coming out. It'll be done when it's done, but I wanted to thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see a video on next. And yeah, let's hope that 2025 is a better year for Movie Force. I know this year has been pretty slow. Sorry about that, but it'll get better. We'll get there. So without further ado, roll film.
One of the staple cartoons that I grew up with as a kid was Peanuts. The adventures of Charlie Brown and Snoopy were, and to this day continue, to be absolutely timeless. The characters are grounded and charming. There's never any high stakes. These are just regular kids, going about their regular lives, doing regular things, getting into regular shenanigans. You know, I'm okay with that. I'm an anxious person, and I like being able to just sit down and watch a show or movie without it giving me a heart attack. Today we're going to be going and looking through the entire Peanuts run of cartoons from 1965 to 2011, and ranking each one in a tier list. I won't be reviewing the theatrical film releases. This video is going to be long enough already. I've talked about the 2015 Peanuts film in length before, and maybe I'll go back and review the other 4 films someday, but this is just for the specials. I won't be talking about the really obscure specials that featured no animation, like Big Stuffed Dog. I also won't be going through and talking about the Snoopy Show, or Snoopy in Space, or the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show. Those aren't specials, those are TV shows, and if I reviewed those, we would be here all day. That's like 40 or 50 extra episodes that I don't want to put in here. That being said, let's get straight into it by starting off with the 1965 special, A Charlie Brown Christmas. This is the special that started it all. Sponsored by the Coca-Cola Company, this was the first time the Peanuts had been brought to television, if you don't count a few commercials here and there. This special is pure Americana. Charlie Brown is trying to figure out what the point of celebrating Christmas is when all anyone seems to care about is the commercialization and the presents. He's invited to direct the school Christmas play, and just can't seem to get it right. The kids send him to go get a Christmas tree, and instead of coming back with a big one, he comes back with a branch. This makes everybody upset until Linus humbles the kids by reminding them of the true meaning of Christmas, the birth of the Savior, Jesus Christ.
For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, Jesus Christ the Lord.
Overall, this is a very humble and grounded special. The animation is rudimentary and choppy, but the charm of all these characters shines through. The voice acting, likewise, is not very good. You can tell these really were kids trying to read lines off of a script, but it seems like they must have been having a lot of fun with it. This is a charming special, the message still holds up today, and so I'm putting it in the A tier. Number 2, Charlie Brown's All-Stars. Charlie Brown keeps losing baseball games and his team has had enough. Eventually, they decide to come back when Charlie Brown announces that his team will get uniforms and have the chance to play in a league. What they don't know is that the league doesn't allow girls or dogs on official league teams. Charlie Brown tries helping them to win a game so that he can break the bad news at the tail end of a high note. But unfortunately, they lose the game and the team gets even angrier at him. However, in the end, they all band together and make Charlie Brown a manager's uniform to show their appreciation for him after Linus tells the team the truth. The animation is more dynamic in this special. You can tell there's a lot of things they wanted to do, and they managed to accomplish quite a bit. I like this shot where the team is riding their skateboards over a jump rope. This is a fun special that's perfect for watching at the start of summer vacation. I'm giving this one an A. Number 3, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. This is another one of the big holiday specials that so many of us grew up with. The premise is simple. Linus thinks that a person similar to Santa Claus, called the Great Pumpkin, is going to show up on Halloween night and deliver toys to all the kids of the neighborhood. He convinces Sally to wait with him in a pumpkin patch all night for the Great Pumpkin to show up. Meanwhile, the other kids go back to trick-or-treating, and Snoopy has dressed up as a World War I flying ace and is going on a mission to bring down the Red Baron. The scenes with Snoopy are very entertaining to watch. This dog is very funny, and the gag only gets funnier and more enjoyable the longer it goes on. Linus's blind loyalty to the Great Pumpkin is tragically hilarious as well, and Sally's devotion to Linus is just the icing on the cake. Aside from that, though, there's not much to note about this special. It's not one of my favorites, but it certainly is memorable. It's pretty by the numbers though, so I'm gonna put this one in B tier. Number 4, You're in Love, Charlie Brown. A lesser known special, this is the first time we see Charlie Brown obsessing over the little red-haired girl. That's the whole episode. It's just Charlie Brown trying to get the girl to notice him, then chickening out, then getting made fun of by the other kids, then fantasizing about getting to hold hands with the little red-haired girl.
I'll bet her hands are real soft and cool.
Bro, calm down, sheesh. There's this funny bit where Charlie Brown gets unreasonably mad about kindergarten class graduating with caps and gowns. I've never seen someone get so mad about this aside from Mr. Incredible.
I can't believe you don't want to go to your own son's graduation.
It's not a graduation. He is moving from the 4th grade to the 5th.
Charlie Brown goes to Lucy for advice about the little red-haired girl, and she goes on a misandrous tirade. Then Peppermint Patty calls Charlie Brown. This is her first appearance in the series. I really like Peppermint Patty. She sets up Charlie Brown with a blind date with Lucy after mistaking her for the little red-haired girl. To be fair, Chuck never told Patty about the girl having red hair, so it makes sense that she'd screw this up. But he arrives on the date and then...
Ew! What?
There's this bit near the end where Charlie Brown has to climb over a fence, and this is like viscerally terrifying. Like, this is activating my fight or flight response. What is going on here? It ends with Charlie Brown chasing the little red-haired girl out to the bus, where he misses and then gets this note.
I like you, Charlie Brown.
Our boy's in, let's go! It's nice seeing Charlie Brown have a win for once. He's always the punching bag, but for once he gets to have something good happen to him. I'm putting this special in the C tier. Number 5, He's Your Dog, Charlie Brown. Snoopy is sent to an obedience school after terrorizing the kids of the town. The opening segment where he's just causing chaos and choosing violence is the funniest part of the special.
We'll stop and get a hot fudge sundae, okay? Okay, fine.
The animation is lower in quality than it usually is in previous specials. This is the second notable appearance of Peppermint Patty in the series, as Snoopy is sent over to her house to spend the night on his way to the Daisy Hill puppy farm. He takes over her house and forces her to do all the chores and serve him. Also, Roy is here. That's kinda cool. He doesn't say anything though. I don't think we've ever had a special where Roy has talked before. And then Snoopy beats up Peppermint Patty and then goes back home to Charlie Brown. Not much to write home about, and it's not particularly plot heavy or that funny. I'm gonna have to put it in the D tier. Number 6, It Was a Short Summer, Charlie Brown. Lucy signs up all the other kids to go to summer camp. How a literal child could be capable of having this authority, I have no idea. Like, she says she signed everyone else for camp, but wouldn't the parents need to do that? Anyway, Charlie Brown and Lucy are the leaders of the boys and girls camps respectively. And they keep facing off in different competitions. Swimming, rowboating, what have you. Finally, the boys beat the girls when Snoopy goes head-to-head against Lucy in an arm wrestling competition. This is a fun little summer special. You know, there's some decent jokes here. And that's really about it. I'm putting this in the B tier. Number 7, Play It Again, Charlie Brown. Despite the title, this special is about Lucy and Schroeder. Lucy really likes Schroeder, but Schroeder doesn't return the feelings, instead opting to spend all his free time playing Beethoven music on the piano. Lucy spends the episode trying to get him to like her. There's some really great comedic bits in here that put the portrayal of these characters on full display. Peppermint Patty says she'll help Lucy out by signing Schroeder up to play the piano at the PTA meeting. It seems like all will work to Lucy's advantage, but then the PTA says they don't like Beethoven and they don't want Beethoven. They want Schroeder to play rock music. What I like about this special is that it puts Lucy in good spirits. Usually, she's very mean and hateful towards the other characters, especially Charlie Brown. But here, she just means well and wants to get a boy to like her. Charlie Brown, Pigpen, and Snoopy agree to form a band to be Schroeder's backing, much to his disappointment. Also, side note, I know Charlie Brown is supposed to be a loser, but, like, this boy absolutely shreds on the guitar. Like, this is something he's genuinely good at. Ultimately, this special is about creativity. It's about creative integrity. It's about standing up for what you believe in and not selling out just to fit in. Schroeder ultimately decides he can't sacrifice his artistic integrity to rock, instead opting to quit the gig to go back to the simplicity of playing for himself and whoever happens to be in the room at the moment. This is a special I definitely recommend. There's funny jokes, excellent music, and a good story. This is going in the S tier. Number 8, You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown. Linus runs for student body president and wins, despite his having gone on a tangent about the Great Pumpkin and exposed himself for the whack job that he is. Lucy is shown again being supportive of one of the boys in her life, her little brother, but this time she's got that snarky attitude and fuss-budget demeanor back that we all know and love. She utilizes political intimidation to get her way and to get all the kids to vote for Linus. I really don't have that much to say about this one. Something political satire aged like wine. I know there's probably some deeper themes here, but I don't know what they could be. This is going in the B tier. Number 9, A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. This is another holiday classic that used to be shown on TV all the time during Thanksgiving. Peppermint Patty invites herself, Marcy, and Franklin over to Charlie Brown's house for Thanksgiving. The only problem? Charlie Brown doesn't know how to cook. And he's supposed to be going to his grandparents' house for Thanksgiving. Snoopy gets into a fight with a lawn chair that goes on for several minutes, and it's pure slapstick comedy. Linus and Snoopy help Charlie Brown prepare a meal of toast, pretzels, popcorn, and jelly beans. The other kids get there, and here is where we get to a bit of the controversy. The argument that's come about every single year is that the Thanksgiving special is racist because all the white kids sit together on one side of the table, while Franklin sits in a broken chair on the other side. And, okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. This argument is stupid, right? The other kids love Franklin. Charlie Brown even daps him up as he comes inside the house. These kids are practically brothers. Second, as you can plainly see, there are at least 3 other chairs to choose from on this side of the table. Franklin, for some reason, goes for the broken chair and doesn't elect to change seats when he discovers this one is broken. I'm 100% certain this joke was just supposed to be, oh, one of the kids sits in a broken chair, that's funny. I'm sure that they didn't mean to make fun of Franklin specifically for this. How do I know this? Well, history time. Back in 1968, following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., a school teacher named Harriet Glickman wrote a letter to Charles Schulz asking him to put a black kid in the comic to help promote tolerance and acceptance. Schulz had been considering adding a black character to Peanuts for years prior, but told Glickman he was initially reluctant for fear of patronizing black Americans who read the comic. This started a correspondence between Glick and Schulz, with Glick even asking some of her friends of color to send resources and notes to Schulz about how to properly write a black character. Schulz was eventually won over, agreed, and Franklin made his debut in the strip in July of 1968. What I really admire about Charles Schulz is that he fought tooth and nail to keep Franklin in the comic, despite protests from southern states and the press syndicate, who told Schulz they were worried about newspapers protesting the comic. In fact, Schulz threatened to end Peanuts altogether if they didn't let Franklin stay, and if they didn't print the strip exactly the way he drew it. During an interview in the 90s, Schulz brought up a time that a southern newspaper editor sent him a letter. The letter said something along the lines of, "I don't mind that you have a black character, but please don't show him in school with the white kids." This was in response to a strip in which Franklin sat in front of Peppermint Patty. Schulz threw the letter away and didn't even dignify it with a response. All this to say, no, I don't think this scene was meant to be racist. It was most likely based on everything we know about Schulz and his love for the character, meant to be a harmless joke. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Where was I? Right, the dinner. So, Peppermint Patty throws a tantrum that this literal child can't cook a full-blown Thanksgiving dinner, and Marcy tells her to stop being so mean to Chuck, and that she shouldn't have invited herself to his house for dinner without stopping to listen to him. She apologizes to Charlie Brown, and then all the kids get to go to Charlie Brown's grandma's house for dinner. This is an intimate little special. The entire story is spent inside the Browns' house, and it's mainly dialogue driven. But aside from the slapstick, there's not a lot of action here that will keep the little ones entertained. I'm putting this in the A tier. Number 10, There's No Time for Love, Charlie Brown. The first third of the episode is little snippets of the kids going through school.
One thing I've learned about algebra, don't take it too serious.
Wait, she's doing algebra? I had to do algebra in high school. I'm 21 and I still don't understand algebra. Hold up, how old are these kids? 8? These kids are 8? And they're doing algebra? How far has our education system fallen if these kids are doing algebra in high school instead of elementary school now?
What the f*** am I looking at?
The consequences of our actions! And it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh no.
Anyway, the kids go on a field trip, and they have to write an essay about what they learned. This special also further spells out the painfully obvious that just like Charlie Brown is in love with the little red-haired girl who seemingly doesn't notice, Peppermint Patty is in love with Charlie Brown, who is equally as oblivious. Somehow, Peppermint Patty, Sally, Charlie Brown, and Marcy all get separated from the rest of the group, and they end up walking through a grocery store still thinking it's an art museum. This is a really amusing premise, and it's executed well, with the kids thinking that stacks of bean are art displays. Meanwhile, Linus and Lucy seem to be the only kids in the main cast who actually made it into the museum. Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown get separated from the other kids, and Patty hits on Charlie Brown before falling asleep in aisle 8A. Snoopy goes undercover and pretends to be a grocery store staffer. Patty wakes up and finds Marcy, proceeding to slander Charlie Brown behind his back.
How could anybody ever be in love with boring, dull, wishy-washy old Chuck? I thought I heard someone sigh.
He goes home upset at what Patty said, and Patty chases him trying to apologize. Later they work on their reports together, and then Charlie Brown walks Marcy home.
Good night. If you don't want that to be from me, Chuck, think of it as being a good night kiss from Peppermint Patty.
Oh, this is really adorable. This is a sweet little episode, but it's kind of all over the place. Charlie Brown gets the only A on his report in the entire class. You know what? This special gives Charlie Brown 2 wins. I'm putting this up in the A tier. Number 11. It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. This is another holiday special. I used to have a VHS of this one that I would play on repeat when I hung out in my dad's office after school. Peppermint Patty spends the whole episode trying to teach Marcy how to dye eggs. Marcy keeps screwing up by cooking them the wrong way.
Sir, how do we color the eggs after we fry them?
This is probably one of the funniest bits in the entire series. It becomes more and more unhinged as the episode progresses. Toonrific Tariq pointed out in his retrospective of Peanuts that Peanuts writers today simply missed the point of Marcy. In the comics and in the original animated specials, she could be wise at times, but she was incredibly stupid. Like, just dumb as a sack of bricks. For some reason, the new writers see that she's wearing glasses, and they've come to the conclusion that this makes her a smart bookworm. There's some really beautifully animated sequences in the shop where Snoopy is looking through a kaleidoscope. There's just something about this episode that is oddly calming. Meanwhile, Linus is trying to convince everyone that the Easter Beagle is gonna come along and give colored eggs to all the good little boys and girls. This is just Great Pumpkin all over again, except Linus ends up being right this time. C tier. Number 12. It's a mystery, Charlie Brown. Woodstock the bird finds his nest missing and Snoopy plays detective to help him find it. They find out that Sally took it to display for her science class assignment. Snoopy and Woodstock take Sally to court and win the nest back. Pretty simple story with a delightful premise, but pretty middle of the road. C tier. Number 13, Be My Valentine, Charlie Brown. Oh wow, another holiday episode. Charlie Brown laments about not getting a Valentine. He brings a briefcase to school on Valentine's Day in the hope of getting a bunch of Valentines from all the kids. He gets none until the end of the episode, when the girls give him a used one out of pity.
You don't care anything about Charlie Brown. You just hate to feel guilty.
Schroeder stands up to the girls for Charlie Brown and says what we're all thinking. I really like Schroeder in this episode. He doesn't get many scenes here, but he behaves and speaks honorably, even in spite of Charlie Brown just taking the pity Valentine anyway. Honestly though, I can't say I blame him. Like, sometimes you just want the pity, you know? Linus dotes on his elementary school teacher, Miss Othmar, and wants her to fall in love with him. This trope of a kid having an innocent crush on an adult they admire has understandably been phased out of the public consciousness, and that's probably for the best.
Well, I have a problem too. What do you give a man teacher for Valentine's Day? How about shaving lotion?
I'm going to call the police.
This arc ends with him screaming and crying as he throws chocolates off the bridge. Is Snoopy suicidal? D tier. I don't really like this one as much as the other specials. Number 14. You're a good sport, Charlie Brown. The first 6 minutes of the episode follow Snoopy playing tennis and then being beat at the game by Woodstock. Peppermint Patty invites Snoopy to a bike race for charity. Lucy does the stupid thing with the football again. I like how every time this happens, they use the same recycled scream over and over. It sounds like something out of a Mel Blanc cartoon. I love it.
Ugh! No!
So it turns out that this race Patty is inviting the kids to is a motocross. It's kind of like an all-terrain motorbike race. Linus and Charlie Brown chip in on a rundown motorbike and sign up for the motocross. Snoopy and Charlie Brown wipe out immediately and then get taken to hospitals. Hilariously, they accidentally drop Charlie Brown off at the vets and Snoopy in the hospital. This boy just can't catch a break, can he? They rush back to get in the race and Charlie Brown is given a pumpkin to use as a helmet. Snoopy becomes overly confident after pulling ahead in the race, and this gives Charlie Brown the chance to pass him, with the moral being that slow and steady wins the race.
How about that? Old Charlie Brown is first. I think the world is coming to an end.
Shut up, Lucy. Charlie Brown wins the race, and it's nice to see our boy get a victory. Ironically, he wins a gift certificate for 5 haircuts. Guys, his dad is a barber, and he's bald. B tier. Number 15. It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. Another holiday special.
Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And another one.
There's at least several more of these. This is gonna be a recurring theme. Does anyone even celebrate Arbor Day anymore? Isn't it just Earth Day with extra steps?
Yesterday, we only hit 4 parked cars.
This one introduces Linus's little brother, Rerun. He's a feisty little guy who has an awful lot to say for his age. Sally becomes an environmental activist. No, not that kind, thankfully. At least I hope that's not what she becomes. Sally, Lucy, and Linus plant a bunch of trees on the baseball field for Arbor Day, sabotaging the game. Peppermint Patty and Charlie Brown are both annoyed by this. Schroeder jokingly says that if Lucy hits a home run, he'll kiss her. She hits a home run.
Forget it! If that's the only way I'll ever get you to kiss me, forget it! Another victory for women's lib!
The kids are so close to winning the game, but they get rained out, and Charlie Brown is left on a flooded field. The end. D tier. Number 16. It's your first kiss, Charlie Brown.
And then he turned himself into a helicopter. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's homecoming at Charlie Brown's elementary school, and there's a big parade. We finally learn the name of the little red-haired girl who has been elected as the homecoming queen. Her name is Heather. Despite this, Charlie Brown still always calls her the little red-haired girl.
It's a tradition, Charlie Brown. You have to give the queen a kiss.
He finds out that he is supposed to be Heather's escort to the dance, and then he has to kiss her. Why? Like, I don't know. This is never explained.
So, sorry, bro. You gotta kiss her, bro. I don't make the rules, bro. Pucker up, bro.
Lucy, despite being on the same team as Charlie Brown, pulls the ball away from him again and again. She does this 3 times. 3 times! At this point, I think she just does it for her own sick, sadistic pleasure. So during halftime, Peppermint Patty blames Charlie Brown for their falling behind, even though we clearly saw that he was sabotaged by Lucy. If anything, it's more her fault than Charlie Brown's, but we gotta keep Charlie Brown in the punching bag position. Good grief. I'm sorry, no elementary school I know of has televised football games, big fancy parades, or homecoming dances. This is usually something done in high school or college. I wonder why Schultz puts the kids in such unusually mature situations sometimes. Homecoming dances, motorbike races, homelessness. The kids, of course, lose the football game because Lucy kept pulling the ball away, and they blame Charlie Brown for it.
After you lost today's game, this is the last place we thought you'd be. Yeah, you've got some nerve, Charlie Brown.
Shut up, Lucy! Like, shut the heck up! You're the reason Charlie Brown kept missing the ball in the first place, you absolute— The episode ends with Charlie Brown kissing the little red-haired girl and then blacking out. There's this really cool animated sequence that probably looks awesome on the right amount of illegal substances. Don't do drugs. F tier. Number 17. What a nightmare, Charlie Brown. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. Snoopy and Charlie Brown are in a winter cabin on vacation, and Snoopy is just living it up. Making pizza, eating in excess, having a good old time. Charlie Brown tells him that he wouldn't last very long in the wilderness or as a normal dog. Snoopy then falls asleep and dreams about life in the extreme wilderness. We follow him as he dreams with no dialogue for 20 minutes. This episode is doing an excellent job at showing and not telling. There's a lot of amazing and humorous visual gags and slapstick, and then there's what's probably the most violent scene in Peanuts history.
Yeah! Get him, Snoopy! Yeah! Aim for the jugular! Get him! Yeah! Woo!
We watch as Snoopy slowly becomes more and more feral until it ends up waking him up. The animation is really expressive, and this is an excellent exercise in storytelling.
S tier.
Number 18. You're the greatest, Charlie Brown. The kids enter the Junior Olympics. Charlie Brown and Marcy enter the decathlon when none of the other students will, with Peppermint Patty as Charlie Brown's trainer. I really like Marcy's relationship with Charlie Brown, and I wish we'd see more of them together. She just cheers him on and encourages him through this whole episode, and it's so uplifting and wholesome. Other than that, this just feels like a repeat of You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, except Charlie Brown loses because he wasn't paying attention. Marcy congratulates him at the end and commends him for being a gentleman. B tier. Number 19. Life is a circus, Charlie Brown. Snoopy comes across a circus that's in town and accidentally gets roped into it while chasing tail after a lady dog. This whole episode is just Snoopy joining the circus to get with this dog, and then they run away and get as far as the bus stop, and then she breaks it off and he goes home. Meanwhile, Charlie Brown misses Snoopy and comes to appreciate him more. Not much in this episode happens aside from a few circus tropes. D tier. Number 20. She's a good skate, Charlie Brown. This episode is about Peppermint Patty. We've seen her on and off in the series, and she's gotten quite a bit of character development, but she didn't get a lot of time just for herself. This is also the first episode in which we hear the adults actually speak English instead of wah-wah-wahs.
Patty, do you have the answer to problem 6? Problem number
magic.
This episode features some of the most beautiful animation in the series. These absolutely mesmerizing sequences of Peppermint Patty figure skating are flowing and graceful, and yet the animators take the time to add nice details like Patty tripping up and making small mistakes. This is an excellent story about self-esteem, practice, and perseverance. This is an S-tier episode. Number 21. It's magic, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is tired of Snoopy lazing around and tells him to go read a book. He gets a book about magic and tomfoolery ensues. He puts on a magic show for the students that results in Peppermint Patty being dismembered, Franklin nearly being impaled, Linus's blanket being cut into pieces, and Charlie Brown being turned invisible. Chuck takes advantage of this by finally kicking the football in a moment that is quite cathartic. Lucy can't have Charlie Brown staging further dissent against her though, so she has Snoopy reverse the spell, and then pulls the ball from him right as he turns visible again. Kinda funny, but I don't like magic, so B tier. 22. Someday you'll find her, Charlie Brown. Okay, guys, this is the most unhinged Peanuts special in the entire series. Charlie Brown is watching a football game when he notices a little girl in the crowd and instantly falls for her. He then spends the episode using Linus to track down this little girl so he can get with her. He's got this dude looking up phone numbers, collecting home addresses. It's absolutely nasty.
Is this the girl, Charlie Brown? No!
They finally track her down and...
Yes?
Oh no.
You're holding a blanket!
Yes.
Oh, no. No, come on, no.
Yeah, it's great. We have so much in common.
No, don't go in there. No, don't do it. No.
This episode ends with Linus
coquetting
Charlie Brown. This is absolutely deranged, and I love every second of it. Definitely check this one out just for the shock value alone. You'll never see anything like this again. A tier. 23. A Charlie Brown celebration. This special is 44 minutes long as opposed to the usual 25 minutes. It starts with a foreword from Charles Schulz himself explaining how he makes his comics. He tells us that this special is going to be different than the others. Rather than having a single story, it's a collection of vignettes and short stories that pull directly from the comic strips.
I defy anyone in this class to draw a good calais. I'm the only person I know who's failing first grade art.
This formula would be followed again in It's an Adventure Charlie Brown, and the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show would make this its main formula. Some notable stories include Peppermint Patty attending a dog school under the impression it's a private school, and Charlie Brown going to the hospital. He gets back and Lucy lets him finally kick the football and... This is kinda all over the place, but it's a nice change of pace. C tier. 24. Is this goodbye, Charlie Brown? The kids have to cope with Linus and Lucy moving away. Charlie Brown misses his best friend, who has given his blanket to Snoopy. Peppermint Patty tries to get Charlie Brown to take her on a date to get his mind off things, but he was practically asleep when she called him, so he doesn't show up and she gets mad for no good reason. She does an awful lot of projection, doesn't she? All ends well, though, as Lucy and Linus move back since their dad didn't like his new job. This special was one of several nominated for an Emmy, and it's easy to see why. It's a somber yet important story about moving on and the veracity of change. S tier. 25. It's an Adventure Charlie Brown. Another vignette special like a Charlie Brown celebration. Notable moments include Peppermint Patty and Marcy working as golf caddies, and Charlie Brown going to camp with a bag over his head where he's elected camp president. This bit could be an entire special by itself. There's lots of comedic potential. His self-esteem is built up all because the kids want to spend time with him and come to him for advice. This is another fun special, but again, all over the place. C tier. 26. What have we learned, Charlie Brown? This is a direct sequel to the third theatrical Peanuts film, Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, in which the kids are exchange students in France. In this one, they travel around to different battlefields and learn about the world wars. This one is kind of boring. Like, I know history is important, and I appreciate that Schulz had massive respect for history, but I personally didn't like it very much. There are these wild rotoscope scenes, but other than that, I can't recommend this one. F tier. 27. It's Flash Beagle, Charlie Brown. This is the first musical episode of the original Peanuts animated run. In order to be considered a musical, a play or film needs at least 3 songs. This one features 5. This story isn't plot heavy, but it does feature some really good animated sequences of Snoopy and the kids dancing, as well as expressive voice acting. A lot of the later specials featured better voice acting than the 60s specials did. If you were to compare this episode to the very first one, the production value is through the roof. Anyway, so what happens in this special? Well, we follow the kids around school, they go to a party, and then Snoopy goes to a dance club with Franklin, where he dances to the song Flash Beagle. Then Sally takes him to school for show and tell, and he dances for the class. This is supposed to be a parody of Flashdance. No, I haven't seen Flashdance, but I remember this special fondly and it's pretty fun. Also, Sally is voiced by Fergie of the Black Eyed Peas. This isn't a joke, and I refuse to elaborate further. B tier.